feeling of just appreciating and feeling so comfortable. And so coming back here to Temple Sholom and to see all of your faces is really such a joy. So thank you for being here. And we're going to welcome Shabbat. Last Shabbat, I was actually at the Kabbalat Shabbat that's on the Tel Aviv port. And it's a beautiful, actually wonderful sort of very Israeli, almost like a secular religious sort of experience. And to see just being in Israel and watching as the sun was sinking over or under, whatever the direction it was, of the Mediterranean, it was really beautiful. So we're going to do the same in those same beautiful psalms and prayers that help our people enter into Shabbat. But before that, we're going to light the Shabbat candles. Thank you, Cantor Cohen. See, I told you I'm already spacey. We want to invite Monica and Gabrielle and Ari and Vince to come and join us for the reading before the lighting of the Shabbat candles. If you'd like to follow along, you can do so on page 121.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light.
Okay, and come over here and use the middle candle to light the other two.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Okay, so we'll turn to page 130 for our Kabbalat Shabbat service, welcoming in Shabbat in this period, transitioning ourselves from the week into a time of rest and renewal. Lechu ner on page 131, the from the bottom line. So go last line, count 4 lines up where it says Ya'alos Sadai, Ya'alos Sadai, Echol asher bo Ya'alos Sadai, ay 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 ay, Ya'alos Sadai, Echol asher bo Ya'alos Sadai, ay 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 ay, az yiranenu, kol atzei, az yiranenu, kol atzei, ya'alos sadai, vechol asher bo ya'alos sadai, ay 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 ay, ya'alos sadai, vechol asher bo ya'alos sadai, ay 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 ay, az yiranenu kol atzei, az yiranenu kol atzei, ya'alos sadai, vechol asher bo ya'alos sadai, ay 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 ay, ya'alos sadai, vechol asher bo ya'alos sadai, ay 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 ay. Page 134. Samru Adonai. Sameru Adonai bechinor, bechinor vekol zimra. Sameru Adonai bechinor, bechinor vekol zimra. Sameru, zamru l'Adonai. Sameru, zamru l'Adonai. Sameru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor vekol zimra. Sameru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor vekol zimra. Sameru, zamru l'Adonai. Sameru, zamru l'Adonai. Sameru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor vekol zimra. Sameru l'Adonai bechinor, bechinor vekol zimra. Page 138. All echad odi likrat kala, bnei Shabbat nekabela. All echad odi likrat kala, bnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. כל אחד הודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. כל אחד הודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. בראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. כל אחד הודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. כל בשלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה, הולך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה, הולך דודי לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
We'll remain standing and turn to page 263 for Chatzi Kaddish.
יתגדל ויתקדש שם רבה, ועלמא יברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחייתך בית ישראל, בגלה ובזמן קריב ויאמרו
Amen.
יש מרבה מברך לעולם עולם מהמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן ועלמה ויאמרו אמן. ברכו את אדוני המבורך.
Baruch Adonai Avorach Leolam Vaed.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
Please be seated. Page 265, we join together. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim, bechokma poteach she'arim, uvidvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umesader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono. Borei yom v'layla, gol'el or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו.
חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המעריב ערבים. אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך, ובמצוותיך, לעולם לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We'll turn to page 270. We'll join in these words of freedom and redemption.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, לעולם ועד. נאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. The camp melody, aka by Dan Nichols, that we've been doing for Hashkivenu the past couple weeks, thinking of all of our friends, family, kids, adults, I don't know, who are at camp right now, or if you have any memories of summer camp. Hashkivenu Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomrei. For the sake, save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom.
Rabbi Dan is at Camp Kalsman this week, and just before Shabbat, he sent a picture. There's always Shabbat pictures that people do. There's a big kind of gate right outside of the Chadar Ochel, the dining hall at Camp Kalsman, and people will take pictures before Shabbat. So he took a picture with all of the Temple Sholom kids, counselors, everyone who was there from Vancouver. And it's a lovely picture, but he also sent a video of all of the kids singing "O Canada." So they represented themselves well. This is our URJ Reform Movement Summer Camp in Washington State, so they like to be Canadian there. We're going to turn to page 272, Vishamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ים בדאי, שבת שבת, ים בדאי, שבת שבת, ים בדאי, שבת שבת, שבת שבת שלום. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ים בדאי, שבת שבת, ים בדאי, שבת שבת, ים בדאי, שבת שבת, שבת שבת shalom.
We rise for the Amidah, beginning page 273.
Adonai sfatai tiftach, Adonai sfatai tiftach, ufi agid tehilatecha, ufi agid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. Ha'el hagadol, hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, gomel chasadim tovim, ve'koneh hakol, ve'zocher chasdei avot ve'imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה מתים אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. Continue on page 279 with Ritzeh.
Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu be'amecha Yisrael u'tefilatam be'ahava tekabel u'tehilei ratzon תמיד עבודת ישראל. ישראל עמך, אל קרוב לכל קורב, פני אל עבדיך וכוננו, שפוך רוחך בין עינינו, בשובך לציון. ברחמים. ברוך אתה, אדוני, המחזיר שכינתו לציון, לציון.
On Shabbat, we have an opportunity to remove ourselves from the stresses of our week, of our lives, just for a moment. We can't disappear them, but we can just take an opportunity to say, despite what might be out there, we are here, we are present, we are whole, and we are very much alive. It's really sad and distressed, as I know, I'm sure all of you are, to see the wildfires in Jasper and the sadness there. And I think that there is something about these fires that keep happening, and they're very, very devastating and terrible and make us feel worried about the future of our planet, of course, but sometimes it's also within these moments of devastation to just be able to stop and take a breath and to recalibrate. That allows us to have the resiliency to continue and to do what we can, and as we come out of Shabbat, to continue to work for a better planet and to help those who are in need of now shelter and clothing and whatever we can do to make a difference. So as we take this moment of gratitude, let us just, in this time of difficulty, also recognize the power of the blessings among us. Page 280, the bottom of the page, Ve'al nisecha.
ואל ניסך שבכל יום, ערב ובוקר וצהריים, מעולם קיווינו לך, מעולם קיווינו לך. הטוב כי לך עלו רחמך, והמרחם כי לא תמו חסדיך, מעולם קיווינו לך, מעולם קיווינו לך.
A prayer for peace in our world, page 282, Shalom Rav.
שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
Take a few moments now for silent prayer.
turn all the way back to page 128. You'll find the words to Shabbat HaMalkah, this beautiful poem by Chaim Nachman Bialik. It says, Hachama merosh, the sun on the treetops is no longer seen. Come gather to welcome the Sabbath, our queen. Behold her descending, the holy, the blessed. With her the angels of peace and rest. Draw near, and here abide, O Sabbath bride. Peace to you, you angels of peace.
Shabbat HaMalkah.
Just that one.
Hachama merosh ha'ilanot nistalka bo'u v'netzer likrat Shabbat HaMalkah.
Hinei hi yoredet. Last part is boy hamalkah. Boy hamalkah. Boy hakala. Shalom aleichem malachei shalom. That part one more time. Boy hamalkah, boy hakala, shalom aleichem malachei shalom.
Well, we're going to turn to page 371. And together we'll join in Mishaberach for healing, a prayer in which we ask that the Holy One provide healing and compassion for our loved ones who are in need of healing. In particular, this Shabbat, we're thinking of Sylvia Steiner, Thomas Postuma, Leah Kleiner, Kevin Pepper, Bill Gruenthal, Estelle Jacobson, Jeffrey Barnett, Richard Kozicki, Ashley Speed and Nora Speed, Denise Huguet, Maury Dozer, Sherry Fiedler, Frederick Fajardo, Marina, Esther Brower, Shannon Wall, Virginia Edwards, Nini Rostaker-Shipman, Natalie Wormelli, Claire Columbia, Carla Zivit, Janet Gelb, David Shlomo Gorney, and Andrea Yarzbiak. And in addition, if there are other people you'd like to mention, if you'd stand and share their names aloud at this time.
Lehi
bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom again to everybody. So I want to share some announcements about things happening here at the shul, which and in our community, just to let you know. Of course, as has been taking place on Sundays at 2 p.m., our rally at the Vancouver Art Gallery to call to bring the hostages home. That will be on the Sunday at 2 o'clock. And always appreciate people who are able to be there to show support. On Friday, August 2nd, which is next Shabbat, in celebration of Pride here in Vancouver, we are going to have our Pride Kabbalat Shabbat at 8 p.m. Also will be the bat mitzvah of Naomi Holtquist back there. Mazel tov, Naomi. And mazel tov to Gabby, whose bat mitzvah is on Thursday of this week, so lots of simchas here. So we are really excited that in addition to our wonderful Kabbalat Shabbat featuring wonderful music from Cantor Cohen, featuring LGBTQ composers of Jewish liturgical music, that we also have a guest darshan, a guest speaker who is well known to many in our community, Rabbi Daniel Michaelberg, who served as rabbi of this community and also grew up here. So we're very glad to have him, and he'll be speaking on Friday night. Also, Sisterhood has its Book and a Bite. Its book group is discussing its next book, The Covenant of Water, on either the 13th or 14th. You can pick your time and date, and you can find information in the pamphlet if you'd like to participate. And then information for some registration and learning opportunities that are annual learning opportunities at Temple Sholom. First of all, our JIC course for those who are interested in pursuing conversion is starting in September, and the registration is open. People who are interested do need to have a meeting with me beforehand, so if you know someone who is interested, just please have them get in touch with me directly. And then our religious school also has its registration open, and the classes are filling up. So if you'd like to chat with Jen Jaffe, she would be happy to talk to people about our school. Any other announcements, Cantor Cohen? No, okay. So I was just in probably the most intensive 3.5 weeks I've ever experienced in Israel. Partially that was just because it is a very intense time in Israel, as is quite evident, but also because I just started this really amazing learning opportunity at the Shalom Hartman Institute in Jerusalem of a rabbinic leadership course that I'm going to be taking over the next 3 years, actually. So I'll be going twice a year to Jerusalem to study and then doing online learning with this amazing cohort of 25 rabbis from across North America, across the denominational spectrum, really a remarkable group. And the learning that we did, besides Shabbat, we were pretty much chock-a-block learning from about 9 a.m. until often 9 at night. So it was really quite amazing. And I will be sharing lots and lots of the learning throughout sermons and study throughout, well, I think for many, many years. There's a lot to digest. But I thought tonight, just as a way of both my re-entry and also just to share with all of you, I wanted to actually share not so much about the content of the learning, though that does weave in here a little bit, but really just to give a little taste of what it feels like to be in Israel right now and how the country feels. some of you know I was there on a rabbinic mission with 8 Vancouver rabbis in December, so I have been there since October 7th. First of all, that was 3 days, and this is much longer. But also, of course, things are different now. And I wanted to share, just kind of focus on 3 takeaways of things that I noticed. So the first and absolutely the most important is the place of the hostages in Israeli society. I actually noticed when I got back here this morning as I was driving, I looked and I saw the bus stops and the bus shelters, and I thought, oh, they're so empty. Because in Israel right now, every bus stop is covered with posters and stickers. Covered. The stickers actually are mostly of fallen soldiers, and some who died on October 7th. And it seems that actually every group of either family or friends has made individual stickers just about the person who died. It's actually very beautiful with their photo and usually a quote or a verse or something connecting to them. But beyond that is the faces of the hostages. There are posters that are like the ones we have here, and you see the red and the black posters that say "Bring them home now." There are also artistic posters that have been, you can tell, that were put up at different points in time, because they're all of the same kind of type, and some of them are photographs and some of them are drawings and things like that. But there's also a lot of graffiti around the hostages. Some of the graffiti just says, "Bring them home." One very, very common type of graffiti is actually, it's very Jewish. It says, "The mitzvah of redeeming the captive is the greatest mitzvah in Torah." So it's kind of quoting Judaism at the country to say, this needs to be our priority. And then the most frequent kind of just text graffiti that you see is just one short word, "now," or "achshav." So the hostages are everywhere, but what you also realize very quickly is that they're not just the hostages as a group. Of course, they are individuals, but to Israeli society, they are indeed individuals. That every person I met knows someone who is a hostage. Everybody. Everybody has, if not directly, then someone in their family, someone that went to school with them, someone who they knew from wherever it was. Everyone is connected through the hostages. And one of the things that was actually very interesting to me, we have read and learned a lot about the kibbutzim on the Gaza envelope that have been really part of the peace movement, and we're really connected to one another, and that is one beautiful and important part of Israeli society. But one of the things that I learned is that it's actually a lot of the connections within Israeli society that spread more broadly, so that everyone really is connected, was actually through the Nova Festival. They took us one day to the south and to the Nova site, which was very, very difficult. But I learned that actually a lot of the young people who were there really came from the full gamut of Israeli society, that many actually were raised in very religious homes and had kind of left that part of their life, but that it was through that community that all of Israeli society really was feeling this so personally. In Jerusalem, which is where I spent nearly all of my time, the person who is very present, particularly in the area where I was staying, is Hirsch Goldberg Polin, who I've talked about before. He's one of the hostages who was at that Nova festival. His parents, Rachel and Jonathan, they're American immigrants that moved to Israel when Hirsch was 8. And you see his face everywhere, and lots of just writing on the walls that says Hirsch, Hirsch, Hirsch everywhere you go. We had the opportunity actually to meet with his mother, Rachel, and came to speak with us, which was also very, very difficult but inspiring at the same time. I don't quite know how to put that into words, but she is an amazing person. And during 1 week, this was last week, they did a week of kindness in Hirsch's honor to kind of merit from the kindness that maybe that would bring a change in the situation. And there were 2 things in that week of kindness that I attended, one on purpose and one by accident, that I found to be quite powerful. One was they did an evening of singing at, there's a place in Jerusalem called the Tachana Rishona, the first station. They took kind of the old Ottoman train station in Jerusalem and have turned it into kind of like a place with restaurants and kind of a stage area. And they had kind of like Shirabat Tzibur, which is a big thing among Israelis to get together and just sing old Israeli folk songs. And they did that, and they had screens up, and they had, I don't know, maybe 400 or 500 people gathered to sing. But the thing about the singing, and I'll talk a little bit more about this at the end, was that even though they were old folk songs, kind of like from the canon, they were so poignant. The words were just like every single one of them, they hit so deeply just about, the feelings of anguish of this time. And though they were secular songs, it actually really felt like prayer. There was something about that communal singing and the yearning that kind of came out of that I found, that I think was actually my most impactful moment of my visit, was that evening. But the accidental thing that happened was that one night I was walking home, and we stumbled upon this beautiful dedication of a new Sefer Torah, a new Torah scroll that his family had a number of months ago that they had kind of wanted to dedicate in honor of Hirsch and for the merit of all the hostages to come home. And there was this dedication of this new Torah scroll in the courtyard outside of the synagogue. And again, there were, 300-400 people just together in this neighborhood, singing, dancing with the Torah, crying. I mean, it was the whole thing. It was just this emotional connection, but also kind of grounding, into Judaism in this container of ritual, in such a difficult time. I thought was really very beautiful. So that was the first takeaway, was about the centrality of the hostages. The second takeaway is that Israelis are exhausted, like beyond exhausted. Some from so many days of miluim, of reserve duty. Many going back for their 3rd round, and have served, over 200 days of reserve duty. Really, families are struggling with, parents who are absent, and, just kind of one more time. It was very, very difficult. And the protests continue. They're different protests than last summer when I was there, which is around democracy, but they're kind of the same. It's hard to explain. It was a little bit of deja vu. It was kind of similar, same people, same melodies of chants, but different words. But it was also more frequent. You would get a message almost every day: come to this protest, time is of the essence, we need to do this now. And people would go. There was a sense of real civic responsibility to show up and to keep going, but also kind of a tired frustration, and it was very palpable. And so, I saw that in the streets. I felt that in conversations with friends and other people that we encountered. So that was number 2, that Israelis are exhausted. And then the number 3 is that Israelis are tremendously resilient. So even though it's so difficult and tiring, I found that one of the most incredible things was the way in which Israelis have been kind of making both meaning and also kind of a real understanding of like being in this critical moment of history, and taking that and using it to make art. So just first a little bit about the resilience, is that what's very different from December when I was there is that life is back. It's not the same, but as before October 7th, but people are allowing themselves the space to have joy and to have simchas, to go to weddings and go to birthday parties and bar mitzvahs and do these things. We went one night, there was a food truck festival in Jerusalem. That was really delicious, by the way. But we went, it's on the promenade in Talpiot, overlooking the old city, and there's a DJ and there's music and people, and it's like 1,000 people there, and you're thinking, like, this is really weird because there's a war, and there are hostages, and there, and it's a bit of dissonance, but there's also the sense of like we have to still be able to live, and when we can, to kind of grasp onto these moments, and so people were really doing that. But in terms of art, the place where I found really the most beautiful things happening were really around actually poetry. And part of this is just what they fed us at Hartman. We got a lot of poetry, and it was beautiful, but I saw it out and about. And a lot of the poetry is connected with music. And those of you who were able to join us when Yossi Klein Halevi did his series on Israeli music, you'll know more what I'm talking about. But this kind of ability to take so quickly the intense emotions of this time and to express them through music was really incredible. So like I mentioned at the train station in that singing for Hirsch, but also I went last Saturday night in Tel Aviv to the Kikar Chatufim, the hostage square, where they do a rally every Motzei Shabbat, every Saturday night. And before it started, the Reform movement actually leads a Havdalah. And I went and I thought it was just going to be the blessings, but it was actually about 40 minutes of singing before doing Havdalah, and taking old and new poetry and familiar songs and singing them together. But the most powerful moment that I really experienced this was with a very, very old poem. So we had one night at Hartman where we had a kind of a musical, saying it's a performance sounds too trite. It was a musical experience, kind of an expression of one individual's experience of October 7th, and since October 7th, through music and poetry. And this was actually Ronnie Yeager, who was one of the founders of Beit Tefillah Yisraeli, which is that Kabbalat Shabbat that I mentioned at the port in Tel Aviv. And he, just through both images of photographs and music and different things, he kind of told the story of what has transpired in Israeli society, but also kind of through his own personal experience. And there were a few musicians that were playing along with him, including his daughter, who is, her name is Yael, and she's in her 20s. And he started talking about this very famous poem called Magasha Kesef. It's The Silver Platter. It was written by Natan Alterman right before the War of Independence. It was right kind of in after the partition plan in 1947, when it became very apparent that Israel was going to have to fight in a war, that he wrote this poem about kind of the price that this would pay on the youth of kind of the burgeoning state of Israel. And Ronnie and Yael sang it together. They actually sang it in Haftarah trope, which was fascinating, because he was saying how it felt like it was prophecy, this poem. I'm gonna read a bit of it. It's a long poem, but I'm gonna read a bit of it and tell you what happened when they read it. And I'll do it in the English. They did it in the Hebrew. So, a young girl and a boy, dressed in battle gear, dirty, shoes heavy with grime. On the path they will climb up while their lips remain sealed, to change garb, to wipe brow. They have not yet found time, still bone weary from days and from nights in the field, full of endless fatigue and all drained of emotion. Yet the dew of their youth is still seen on their head. Thus, like statues they stand, stiff and still with no motion, and no sign will show if they live or are dead. Then a nation in tears and amazed at this matter will ask, "Who are you?" And the two will then say with soft voice, "We are the silver platter on which the Jews' state was presented today." Then they fall back in darkness as the day's nation looks, and the rest can be found in the history books. So the father and the daughter, Ronnie and Yael, they were kind of going back and forth chanting this poem. And when it got to the part when it says, "A nation in tears, amazed at all this matter, will ask, 'Who are you?'" So the father said that part. And then when the daughter was supposed to answer, "We are the silver platter on which the nation was presented," she burst into tears. And we all burst into tears because it was like it was this very old, well-known poem, but just this kind of awareness of kind of what is happening to the youth in Israel right now, and how the whole society is very much kind of in awe of the youth of Israel right now. You know, they call them the TikTok generation in Israel. That's how they refer to them. That they thought that they were too engrossed in their social media or what have you, but they feel like they are actually rising up as, truly remarkable people who are taking a sense of responsibility for the future of the nation and the people. She was just all of us feeling this moment in history. So that's just a little taste. There's lots more to share, and I do plan that I want to share. There's this new poetry that's been written is quite powerful, and I haven't even told this to Cantor Cohen or Rabbi Dan, but I do want to do some adult ed around the poetry this fall, so stay tuned for that. Thank you. Okay, so let us return in our siddur to Aleinu on page 586. We'll rise together.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובהי מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו. וידעת היום בשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת. אין עוד ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. Please be seated.
On page 595, our reading before Kaddish. Yesh kochavim. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. We remember our loved ones who have died in recent days or at this time in past years. We'll invite those who have come to remember them as I share their name to please stand as you honor their memory. We're in Shloshim for Stephen Bernstein, Jack Clayman, Errol Durbach, Kay Levy, Bella Seligman, and Janet Wills. And we mark yahrzeit this week of Ed Isidore Becker, Frank Bernstein, Joe Butts, Molly Kopolovich, Merton Davis, Helen Diamond, Harry Finkelman, Helene Freeman, Louis Irving Garraway, Louis Goldschlager, Sam Hector, Ernest Huber, Stanley Jacobs, Sarah Lee James, Ronetta Kahn, Irene Kingdon, David Klein, Milan Kramer, Isaac Crowitz, Samuel Crowitz, Morris Lank, Jacob Liederman, Rose Lurcher, Irving Levy, Mark Litvak, Doris Margolis, Joseph Margulius, Evelyn Meltzer, Sheldon Naiman, Wolf Nidekman, Blair Nuskart, Charles Rubin, Al Rodberg, Abraham Rosenbaum, Paul Sala, Barry Shapiro, Robert August Schnell, Harvey Sheftel, Eric Sidney Shipman, Merle Stein, Victor Strominger, Ed Zuckerman. There are other names of people you're remembering. If you would stand and share their names at this time. We rise together as one congregation then alongside those who mourn and invite the mourners and those who choose to join in these words on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'lamei amaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei dekudsha b'richu.
Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, da'miran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru amen. Yehi zichronam livracha, may their memories always be a blessing. Amen. So we're going to remain standing for a closing song and then Kiddush and Motzi before we join in our Oneg Shabbat in the social hall.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, yaseh shalom aleinu, oseh shalom bimromav.
Vayerev vayivoker yom hashishi, vayachulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzevam, vayachal Elohim bayom hashvi melachto asher hasa, vayishbot bayom hashvi mikol melachto asher hasa, vayavarech Elohim et yom hashvi, vayakadesh oto, ki hivo shavat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim lasot. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit. Ki hu yom techila lamikrae kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim. Ki vanu bacharta, ve'otanu kidashta, mikol hamim, ve'shabbat kodshecha, be'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha-Shabbat.
Amen.
L'chaim.
Fine.
Oh, thanks. I knew it'd be challah, but I thought it'd be a different one. Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
B'te'avon, Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom.
shalom.